Hi, welcome to my channel. As you prepare to write the IELTS test or during the IELTS test in the exams room, there are a few tips that you need to know at the end of each section or part and at the end of the listening test. Failure to do or know these tips can cause you to lose a lot of marks. So I want you to stay with me as we get to learn these useful tips that can go a long way to boost your band score. Let's get started. First of all, I'll talk about what you have to do at the end of each section or part. You'll bear with me that at the end of each section, you are given 30 seconds to check your answers. So how do you check your answers? There are a few tips that I want to share with you. First of all, you have to check whether the answer that you've written follows the instructions that were given in the question. For instance, if you are told to write not more than 2 words or a number, check and make sure that the words or the answer that you have provided for that question number obeys that instruction. Either than that, you stand a high chance of getting that answer wrong. So the first thing is about the instruction. Secondly, you should make sure that the spelling of your word is correct or accurate. You might hear the word right, but if you spell it wrongly, I'm afraid to tell you that you are going to get the answer wrong. Now, in doing so, there are some tips or there are some things that you have to know. In order to avoid spelling mistakes, units of measurement like kilometer, centimeter, kilogram, all these you can just shorten them using km, cm, or kg respectively. If you are to write a number, it is advisable to write the Arabic numeral. So you write 13 instead of 13, that is the full word, if you are permitted to write numbers according to the instruction. The next thing I will talk about is grammar. Guys, in as much as you write the correct word and you follow the instruction, you should make sure that the word or words that you've written in the blank space grammatically fit the space. Either than that, you are also going to get the answer right. So as you check the answers, make sure that you also check the grammar of the word or the space that you filled. And in doing so, you have to also make sure that you don't repeat unnecessary words. Now, there are some questions for the fill in the blank space questions. They might use a word, let's say the address. They might mention maybe the dash street, and probably the answer is high. So meaning that the address is the high street. If you write high street in the blank space while there is also street at the end of the space, you are going to get it wrong because it's going to read like the high street, which is going to be wrong. So make sure that you avoid unnecessary words that are already used in the question. Finally, in checking your answers at the end of each section or part, it is likely that you miss some of the answers. Now, the good news here is that if you miss any of the answers, don't panic. Just leave the question behind and continue with the audio or the subsequent questions. If you don't do that, you are likely to miss a lot of questions. So if you miss any question, just relax and just continue reading the next 2 questions ahead of you, ready to listen to the answers of the question. Now, at the end of that section, you have an opportunity to guess the answer to that missed question with the information that you have heard. Now, if you don't write anything in that space, you are going to get 0 for that question. And if you write something, you get something and you write it, it is likely that answer that you wrote might be correct. So make sure you don't leave any blank space. And if you miss any answer, continue, and at the end of the section, try and guess the answer for that question. This information are very important as you check your answers at the end of each section. Now, some candidates do this at the end of the test, And I can tell you that if you do that, it is very likely that by the end of the test, you might have forgotten some of the things, information that you had in those various sections. So that is why you are provided 30 seconds at the end of each section to proofread your answers and make sure that the answers that you have written are correct. Lastly, I'll talk about what you have to do at the end of the test, that is transferring your answers. For those who are familiar with the structure of the IELTS listening test, at the end of the test, you are given 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the question paper to your answer sheet. This is a very crucial time of all the effort that you have used in the whole test. This is the most crucial or the most important part of the test, and I'll share with you shortly the tips that you have to know as you transfer your answers. So these are the possible errors that can be encountered as you transfer your answers. Before I start, I want you to know that you don't get any marks for the answers that you have written on your question paper. So meaning that this period of transferring your answers is very, very important. The first thing I want to talk about is leaving a blank space. Some candidates forget to copy their answer or leave a blank space for a particular question number. So be on guard and make sure that you fill all the blank spaces. If those blank spaces belong to a missed answer or question, like I told you previously, make sure that you guess something and write it accordingly. The next one is spelling mistakes. Now you might have written the correctly spelled answer on your question paper, but in the process of transcribing your answer to the answer sheet, it is likely that you might spell or write the word wrongly. So make sure that you get the spelling right, the same as what was written on your question paper, which was accurate. So make sure that you don't write wrong answer on the answer sheet. Lastly, I'll talk about copying the answer to a wrong question number. This is also one of the common mistakes that candidates do. You might get the answer right on your question paper, but in the process of transferring your answer, it is likely that you might write the answer for question 1 in the space of question 2. If you do that, I'm afraid that it is very likely you might create a trend where it is likely you missed a lot of answers to the question, because if you miss one step, because the answers are written in order, you might be tempted to shade accordingly and you are going to miss a lot of them. So make sure that you copy the right answer to the right question number box on the answer sheet. So guys, these are the useful tips that I want you to know at the end of each section or part of the test and at the end of the listening test. If you do these things, it is very likely that you are going to score high marks in your listening test. As you practice the listening test and you prepare for your test, or even during your exams, make sure you apply these tips and they will be very, very helpful. I have uploaded over 60 IELTS listening tests with answers on this particular channel. I have a lot of information about IELTS writing and speaking on this same channel. On this same channel, you can also find a lot of scholarship opportunities. I will entreat those who have not subscribed to this channel to subscribe, because I have a lot of information to share with you about IELTS and scholarship. So till then, bye.